All right, you guys, welcome back to the Think Bigger podcast. There have been some technical difficulties in life and some circumstances got in the way and have prevented episodes from coming out as consistently as they were. And you know what? I'm not having it. You guys have reached out via Instagram, DM, email, in person at the events that I attend all over the country and the world, and just in various ways, and let me know that the podcast episodes are important to you, and that means a lot to me. So we're pushing past those circumstances. We're pushing past that drama, and we're going to put out this content because you guys have been patient, you've been kind, and the subscribers and whatnot have grown regardless of this delay. So with that being said, let's get into this new episode of the Think Bigger podcast, which is a branch of the Think Bigger project. I love and appreciate all of the supporters, and I humbly believe that the new people listening, whether you're listening on Spotify or SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, Apple Podcast, etc., I believe that you guys will appreciate this podcast for what it is, and send it to your friends. And I believe that it will benefit everyone. This is real life. This is stuff that we all go through. And it's important to discuss it and talk about it in a mature fashion. There's enough nonsense and entertainment and comedic stuff out there. This is real. This is intelligent subject matter. This is hardship and life. And so we're gonna get into it, okay? If you haven't listened to other episodes, pause this one right now. Go back, start at number 1 if you want. Pick a number, and each subject, I believe, will be something you can take value from and appreciate. So with that being said, let's get into this one. I am bombarded with questions or topics, and people ask me to do episodes specifically to address those. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to answer your questions, and I'm going to address the topics that you guys send to me in a variety of ways. All right, first question. Why is the podcast so serious? You know what? I think it's a good question because on the opposite end of that, I've had people say, hey, I actually was expecting the podcast to be very much more automotive related and not so serious. So thank you for making something that is. So what that means to me is it's really just a matter of perspective. So to answer this specific question, why is the podcast so serious? It's because, there is a very serious aspect to life, the hardship that we all go through, the insecurities, the phases, the learning curve, the trials and sadness and happiness and all those types of things. That's a serious matter. And this podcast tends to have a more mature tone to it. And if that translates to somebody as being serious, so be it. Because there are going to be, YouTube channels and podcasts out there that are going to be filled with, people cracking jokes and smoking weed and having fun. And it's comedy based. And in the middle of all that is deeper subjects, and it's intermixed with small talk and conversation and laughter and comedy, and those are dope. Those are amazing, but that's a certain type. Those are our entertainment, and in the middle of the entertainment is some depth, and I dig it. Right, for me, there's enough entertainment out there, from YouTube, reality TV, and everything in between. There's enough out there to entertain you. I'm here to have an adult conversation and talk about things that are important. So the podcast, I guess in that sense, ends up being serious because I'm addressing more serious subjects. All right, next one. What was the inspiration to start the podcast? It wouldn't be one specific event or person or time. It was just simply a matter of seeing the amount of people that had the same types of questions, concerns, and experiences as myself, and just becoming this type of public figure, if you will, in our automotive community. That was sort of how it all started, becoming this person that people would say hi to. And then, by the way, how did you do this on your car? Or I've never seen this done in an engine bay before. And it didn't take very long for people to start kind of catching on to the art of it. And things that I did were sometimes a little and sometimes a lot different than what was going on in the scene around me and the people around me. And even observations and jokes about how I would be dressed a certain way. Those types of things all kind of got to a point where I realized at some point that people were not just watching, but had been watching. And then were asserting themselves and coming over to talk, whether they did that digitally in the beginning, like on forums, and now on social media, but then in person, because before the internet, you went to meets and you went to shows and you went to events, and it was just kind of this thing where at some point I had marketing managers and company owners and PR firms and stuff like that. They would be like, Big Mike, whether you want to do it or not, you should at least consider putting out these types of content, because people want to know. People, they want something with more depth versus just, nonsense. Just like in the car building stuff, there's a million people who want to watch people burn out. They want to watch people do donuts. They want to watch people street race and two-step. But there's also the people that don't want to watch that. They're not attracted to that per se. They want to see the art of something, the passion behind it. And subsequently, you'll end up getting into how a car drives and fires up and etc. But like with life, there's the surface, there's the attention grabbing, attention seeking parts of life, and then there's the depth behind it. So the inspiration to start the podcast came to me when people who had been around longer than me, who have been around longer than me, or are, professional businessmen and enthusiasts and deep thinkers themselves, they were just like, you need to do it. And it just made me kind of step out of my comfort zone, because as much as, there's the YouTube channel, the podcast, and I've toured all over the East Coast and I go to all these different countries, I'm still very much a private person in many ways and an introvert. It seems a little bit difficult maybe to believe, because I'm on stages at these events, I have a microphone, and I have this podcast, etc. But really, in the end, I'm a much more of a quiet person, and I think a lot. I read and think, and that was just kind of what made this become a thing. And those people and experiences I'm very grateful for them, because they were the catalyst that made the podcast come to existence. And you guys, the feedback, the responses, the messages I get, you guys have been amazing. And it made me realize how much there is to discuss and how many people want to discuss it. So, all right, next one. Why did I build the Prelude, and why a Prelude? Well, this is kind of a recurring question, so I'll be a little quick on this one. I've owned Civic Coupes, hatchbacks, CRXs, Accords, wagons, etc. And just over the years, I had a hatch that was in Honda Tuning Magazine. It was my first car, and it ended up being featured 2005. And I had the Prelude. I also had a CRX, I had an EF, etc. And I always loved the Prelude. And I had a friend who had one that he had built the H in it, had sway bars and wheels, and it was lowered, and it was black, and it just looked great. And it was one of the cars I always thought was was dope from when I was young. I just hadn't bought one. And he ended up building the motor, spending a lot of money. And unfortunately, it blew badly. It was not salvageable. Like the whole combustion chamber and at least one of them was just bent and marred and the valves were destroyed, etc. So he couldn't afford to fix it. And so he put it to the side. And it just got to this opportunity where he was like, man, I bought a motorcycle. I'm doing some other things. I just don't even know when or where I can fix it. So if you want to buy it. And he ended up selling it to me for a very, very low price. It had, gotten a little beat up. It was sitting on the side of the house. So the elements and moisture and, just dust but it wasn't destroyed. It was just beat up a little bit. And I ended up buying it and putting a replacement motor. And it was just kind of history from there. It was one of the cars in the stable. And I drove it around. And at some point, I had just put wheels on it. There were some Volk wheels that I found. They were just a little bit beat up. And the car's paint wasn't in that great of shape. And it was the perfect daily in that sense, because you're not too worried about keeping it perfectly clean. It had dents on it already, and it was faded, so you weren't worried about washing it every 2 days, or putting a cover on it for 5 minutes and all that kind of stuff that you want to do when you baby a car that's in perfect condition and fresh paint, etc. And so I just drove it around for I think it was just a year or two, and at one point I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to really get into this. And I did. And next thing you know, 2008, it made the cover of Honda Tuning Magazine, and that's sort of where a lot of people know me from. It's from 2008 maybe, and it was just that. It was just this process, and it was just one of many vehicles, Honda specifically, that I loved. I thought looked good. I thought the dashboard was beyond its time, and the electroluminescent gauges, the shaping, the interior felt luxurious and sporty, etc. So there you go. That's that. Okay, following your dreams. Oh, you guys, this one is something that will be, I think, an ever-evolving process. First of all, what exactly is your dream? Do you dream about being a bodybuilder? Do you dream about being the person with the most amazing car in your crew, in your city, in your state, in the world? Like, what are we talking about here? Do you dream about being rich and being able to buy anything you've ever wanted? The real question is, what is the dream? You have a lot of dreams. People watch a lot of movies, read a lot of books, look at a lot of Instagram photos. What is your dream? You need to be able to acknowledge that you might simply just be regurgitating someone else's content, someone else's dream. A lot of what you want to be and what you want to say and how you want to do things comes from who you are surrounded by, who you're filling your mind with, right? So the first thing is to figure out what it is. And from there, it takes a plan, because a dream without a plan is just a wish. A dream without a plan is a fantasy. If you do not create some form of actual action plan, that dream will forever stay as some intangible thought. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, first you need to decide. And those dreams change. You could make a plan and go for it after a day, a month, a year, 10 years. And whether you succeeded or not, the dream can evolve. And you need to be able to know yourself and be self-aware enough to decide, is it a logical, practical transition into a new venture, into a new project, into a new whatever, or am I giving up? What is the difference between deciding that something is practical and impractical, logical and illogical? If it's a failed attempt and you need to try something different and try again, or is it a phase that is no longer relevant and it's time to do something else? These are all very difficult questions. It's not easy. And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? So that's really what that is you guys, you have to really self-reflect, All right. What made you decide to start the Think Bigger project? This is from somebody out in the UK, London. What made me decide to start the Think Bigger project? The Think Bigger project is a brand and a company and an ideology, a way of thinking that actually benefits the people who know about it, who are a part of it, who wear it, who represent it. Because it's something that benefits the culture and the people around you, not just yourself. It's for the community. I started it because I see and saw so many brands that are just really good at marketing, or they have an investor that gives them a ton of money so they're able to maybe give away a car, or just dump out like massive amounts of designs on t-shirts and they just give them away or sell them for so cheap that it just makes the new generation of kids or younger people that don't have a discerning eye, who don't know what's good and what's bad, what's half-assed and what's not, and they just wear it, and or put stickers on, and so you have this brand whose logo or logos or designs or just company name is just strewn all over, and that's a fantastic marketing scheme, but there's no depth to it. There's no profundity. There's no meaning. It's just a company that's out there to make money. And I'm not knocking that from a business perspective, right? But in the end, if people acknowledge that, then I think perhaps they would second guess or decide to not necessarily support that. Because there are companies out there who have a resume. There are people out there who've accomplished something and actually helped the culture. And if they create something, a company, a brand, anything, a channel, that is who you should support, not just some random who knows who that ended up getting money, an investor or two or three, and able to just dump out product so it just looks like everyone's wearing it and it's part of the culture. It's not part of the culture. It's not rooted in the culture. It is not based on something anyone has done per se. It is just there. Someone acknowledged that there is this large demographic of people, and so they found a niche to sell you t-shirts or whatnot. So I started the Think Bigger project because I wanted to address that, which I just said, but also because the way that you think influences everything that you do. The way that you think is how you behave. It's how you act. The way you think is how you conduct business. The way that you think is how you treat your fellow human beings. The way that you think is the way that you will build a car or modify your vehicle. It is the foundation, is your thought process. So that's why it's called the Think Bigger project, not the buildabettercar.com or buildabettercarproject.com. It's thinkbiggerproject.com. It's about your thoughts. Each design has to do with your passion, your drive, your focus, your thinking bigger, having a bigger heart, having a bigger set of dreams, a bigger set of goals. Do you understand what I'm saying? Those are the foundations, and I did that on purpose. Because I was so sad and frustrated that these other companies are doing this and it's succeeding with no depth. And from a business angle, I can appreciate their strategy and success, and I'm not even hating on it in that sense, but I believe that deep within each person is the want or the need to be a part of something that actually matters. And so I created the Think Bigger project as a brand and as a movement and as a way of thinking for those people. And I believe that in the long run, it will grow as far as volume wise, because people are going to end up getting frustrated with shitty quality, whether that be clothing or car builds. And they're going to look to the stuff, the content that matters. This is my humble belief. All right. Let's keep going here. So, debating properly. How do you debate and discuss and argue respectfully? Wow. Okay. You know what? I believe that that's a very simple answer. And that would be that whatever subject that you are going to or choose to debate, if you choose to engage somebody in a conversation / debate about a subject, both parties need to be educated on it. So, what ends up happening in subjects or conversations, what ends up happening when people are debating is the person who is the least knowledgeable ends up losing and becoming the most frustrated. If you start to debate something with someone, okay, and they are able to answer every question or argument that you present, and you are unable to answer theirs, it is only inevitable. It's only a matter of time before you're going to get frustrated. And if you're doing it in a public arena, whether online where everyone is a part of it and reading it, or in person, it's very frustrating for you to basically be outgunned. And if that other party knows more than you get frustrated, you get embarrassed, and ego makes someone start to get sensitive. That is where debates turn into arguments. That is typically where debates turn into arguments, because people are not necessarily sharing their perspective. They are saying that their perspective is correct. And if they're saying that their perspective is correct, they are indirectly, and then some people do it directly, saying that the other person is incorrect. Now, if you believe that your perspective is correct, and you believe that the other person is incorrect, okay, that means that your debate is to change their mind, right? You are trying to change their mind, even if you're doing it lovingly per se, right? Now just try to switch that, for example. What if the other person believes they're right, and subsequently they believe you're wrong? So if they believe they're right, and therefore you're wrong, and you believe you're right, and therefore they're wrong, you're going to hit a stalemate quick, right? Because two people believe the other person who's trying to teach them something doesn't know what they're talking about. But even if you're able to have an adult conversation, if you are not educated on the subject, or if they are not educated, the person who's unable to answer questions or respond intelligently is the one who's going to get frustrated first. And that tends to be what ends up happening. Religion, politics, anything. They're dangerous subjects because people are passionate about them, which is fine. But a lot of times that passion is rooted in personal belief. It's not necessarily rooted in logic or rooted in experience. And people will believe that that is correct for everyone. And that's the danger. So if you choose to debate with someone, you need to be educated on the subject. That's really the simple answer to that. Okay, so hate in the car community. Okay, it's interesting because that kind of ties into what I'm just talking about. Hate is there because of immaturity and because of ignorance. And, there are going to be people who are going to do things and say things that you don't like. And, you cannot like something without hating on it. But there are people who don't know how to do that, right? There are people who can say, I don't like, stands, right? I don't like seeing cars with their wheels all, -4, 5 degrees. I don't like it. And for myself, I don't like it, right? That doesn't mean I'm hating on it. There's a big difference, right? There's a logical and mechanical argument to disliking it. The people who do it extremely, but without, addressing caster, camber, toe, alignment. There are ways to make a car literally, mechanically safer when you do certain things that the original suspension components were never designed to do. So the argument there starts to be, that's not even safe. Don't you drive that shit around my family on the whatever, right? So my point is, I can dislike something, but that doesn't mean I have to hate on it. Hate comes from people, once again, who believe they're right and what they're looking at is stupid and wrong. And so they treat the other person or the other party as stupid and wrong. And that's where the hate is. And then there are the people who are simply just immature. You could present them with a logical, intelligent conversation, argument, and they don't care, man, whether they're kids by literal age or by maturity, I know 20, 30, 40-year-olds that act like they're 12. We all do. So, hate exists everywhere, any community. It's a matter of how you choose to address it, how you choose to deal with it, if you let it affect you deeply or not. So that's a lesson for life. There are going to be people who hate no matter what you do. So you have to be able to be okay with that and secure with who you are and what you're doing or saying, why you're doing it and saying it. So there's that. Okay. Street racing. That's a little bit vague. I'm not 100% sure what it is that this particular individual wants me to talk about. Street racing, I mean, do I like it? Do I not like it? Do I attend? Do I do it? I'm not real sure. When you guys send me the emails, comment on the YouTube channel, DMs on Instagram, be thorough, be elaborate, If you can take 5 seconds to type out a sentence, then you can take 10 seconds to type out 2 or a minute to type out 5, and let's be able to, I want to be able to address what you are looking for in a thorough fashion. So street racing, I don't know. I used to do it when I was a kid, and then I stopped. I used to attend, and then I stopped for a lot of reasons, Out here in Southern California, they were impounding even spectators' cars, crushing the cars that were racing, arresting everyone. There were shootings and fights and a lot of crazy things. And at some point in time, it was like, why would I even go to that? So, but that was many, many, many years ago, Street racing culture is very real, especially, in certain parts of the country, say the East Coast, for example, there's a lot of that. And, the argument can be made that, we're doing it in a place where there's no cross traffic, there's no people who are there who aren't there for a reason, etc., So I'm not 100% sure where you wanted me to go with that, but by all means, if the person who sent me that is listening, or anyone else, if there's something specific, by all means, leave me messages. I collect them all and make episodes like this. This is number 2 to answering your questions. If you guys go back a couple episodes, it's called I Answer Your Questions Part 1. So yeah, I'll be doing these periodically and have no problem addressing that. The next one, online dating. I actually know who sent this one. I remember specifically because we were on the phone with each other about it. We're friends. I'm not sure if he wants to stay anonymous or not, but I've worked with him. He's a very talented artist. So I'll keep it at that for now. But online dating, dating in general is a fascinating thing. Like anything, when you're looking for a significant other, or if that's even what you're looking for, some guys are at any age and they're still just trying to, get some and get with as many women as they can. That's a very real thing. And I mean, if you are open and honest about that to the women that you meet or talk to, good. But the idea of saying whatever you need to say, quote unquote playing, that's childish. And as a grown adult, you need to just be like, look, I'm not looking for something serious. I just want to kick it whenever I have time, whenever you have time, or however you choose to say that. But be honest. And if that's what they want, they can be honest back. And those types of relationships with that type of dynamic exist. But don't try to act like you are wanting a long-term relationship or looking for something real and with longevity, and then as soon as you get some, bounce. That's how men destroy very good women who are blind or gullible or both, and they believe you as they should, and then you leave and they're broken, and it's a terrible thing. So what I've experienced online dating is that I'm experiencing women who are sometimes way younger than you would think, and they've already been married and divorced. They have a child or maybe more than one, and a lot of them have been hurt, sometimes physically. They were abused. This is way more common than I think people think. Emotional, mental, and verbal abuse is way, way, way more common than people think. And then there can be physical with that. And there are women who they're afraid to get into another relationship because the last person they believed in, the last man that they loved and believed in the beginning, said and did all these things that made them get to that emotional state, and it slowly turned into jealousy, anger, and abuse. So for me, online dating, whether you are meeting them online or not, people need to communicate, and you need to be able to say how you feel, what you want, and the other person and you two can work on that together. It's a very difficult thing. I've had some amazing experiences that unfortunately didn't turn into a relationship, but it's given me glimpses of these traits, character traits and attributes that make people beautiful. And you just choose the method that you find the best to go out and try to find a person who fits these standards and these characteristics of who you believe would be good to be in a relationship with, online dating is probably going to be a whole episode by itself. Let's see. This is a message from Haiti. Man, can you believe that? One of the other ones a minute ago was from London. This one's from Haiti. Another one earlier was from Puerto Rico. And then, the internet just puts the world together. I always kind of think that that's incredible. But anyways, I love your work. Oh, that's it. Okay, well, I appreciate you. It means a lot. Something as simple as that sentence, that statement. It means a lot, so thank you. Will you ever make a video of you driving the Prelude? Do you mean like an elaborate, cool YouTube type, high quality, high res, like fancy schmancy video? Well, if that's what you mean, I don't know. Like, I don't just have videographer friends that are free and able to just up and grab, $10,000 in equipment to make a video for fun. I mean, I'm sure they could, but they're all working and trying to make a living doing that. That's their passion. And so, if they get paid to do that, then it's going to be difficult for them to have time to just up and make one for fun. Now, if that's not what you meant, if you meant just regular ones, there's one on my bio right now here on Instagram. If you look at the highlights, story highlights, there's one there that I did with James Pumphrey from Donut Media. Speaking of that, there is an episode dropping very, very soon that I have the honor of have come out on my build from Donut Media. So for those of you that know of them, check it out. For those of you that don't know, DONUT, Donut Media, massive YouTube channel. They did an episode that's dropping extremely soon, and it will give you guys a glimpse into what people think about the build and help put into perspective exactly how in-depth the car was from the perspective of outsiders and car guys. And I'm fascinated to see what they think and how they edited it, you know? But, you know, when I first drove the car, when I had the honor of becoming a finalist in the SEMA Battle of the Builders and being one of the 10 cars that lead the SEMA cruise over to SEMA Ignited, there's a video of me doing that. One that someone took as a bystander, a spectator in the SEMA crowd, and then there's one I did while I'm driving the car in the parade. And then there's ones that like Tuner Evo is one of the event series that I host and judge for, and one of their official videos that Halcyon Photo did. I'm in that driving the car. So it just kind of is a thing where it exists. I don't upload pictures of the car every day or of me two-stepping or burning out or racing. Because I'm busy doing other things. But, you know, I was driving the car the other day, and I put my dyno sheet up. There are people who say the car doesn't run. People say the car doesn't start. People say it doesn't make any power. But I literally posted my dyno sheet and my dyno session. There are videos of me driving the car. So, you know, it's a matter of what you want to look for. But you want to see the car. You want to hear about it. You want to hear it start. You want to hear it boost and be driven hard as hell. Donut Media episode coming out very, very soon. And I think that you'll be able to hear it in ways that will kind of address this for you. All right, who or what inspired you to get in the car world? Wow. I'm born and raised in Southern California. And so I think it was inevitable. All the older heads, big brothers, cousins, OGs, all the people that I was around, they were all into cars. So anything from Acura Legends and Toyota Supras, Integras, Civics, Eclipses, I mean, all these imports, the import culture in the import world, I was around. And it was inevitable, in my humble opinion, from where I grew up in SoCal. And so there you go. Just seeing these guys driving these cars, lowered and the sound and the look, and I just thought it was dope. And so that's the simple answer to that. Let's see here. What's your background? Where did I grow up? I grew up here in Southern California, born and raised in Southern California. Let's see, Lazy Man Garage, do you think you'll ever stop by again? You know what, man? I appreciated you reaching out and inviting me the first time. And yeah, I'd absolutely stop by again. I'm sure you see how often I'm out of state, out of the country, out of state, out of the city. So, the spare time is very minimal. But just like I did last time, my friend, I'll make time. I appreciate you. I appreciate you inviting me to come over. For those of you guys that don't know about Lazy Man Garage, this gentleman reached out to me. He doesn't go to too many places or events. He has some personal things that keep him from doing that. And so he stepped out of his comfort zone and asked me to come visit him. And he's been following and a fan for a long time, and asked me to come over, not just to visit, but to sign his magazine, which he has in the garage. And that's a very huge honor and very humbling. And so I did. I stopped by. But yeah, brother, when you hear this, let me know. Reach out, and I'll plan it based on my schedule. I will make time. I will not just find time or hope I have time. I'll make time to come back over and see you guys. Next one. How many times in a day does someone say something that makes absolutely no sense? I know who sent this message. Let's just say he wants to stay anonymous. Okay, so you know what, brother? I believe that in their mind it made total sense. But this kind of ties into the whole grammar thing that I talk about. If people don't know how because they didn't pay attention in school or they don't care, if people don't know how to convey themselves, it's going to be difficult to understand them, right? That's what grammar is for. That's what proper nouns and capitalizing and periods and spaces and commas and, to be serious, that's how you create a sentence, and that's how you can express yourself digitally. But if you type out some crazy long run-on sentence that's filled with slang and misspelled words and acronyms, and you throw in emojis, and it, that's not gonna necessarily work for someone who doesn't listen or actively participate or use that type of language, because that's not English. It's internet slang, and I don't read enough of that to be able to decipher. So sometimes I'll just flat out not know what the hell somebody means in my live streams. I go live on Instagram. I have this series called Parking Lot Confessions. You guys need to check it out. Usually happens in the evenings, and we have really, really quality conversations, interacting via live stream. But whether it's that or an Instagram DM or something like that, I think it just doesn't make sense to me because I'm reading it. And I think a lot of times people in this shortened, weird form of English that people use online, I think that they just think that there's all of these fill-in-the-blank stuff that I should understand. And because the people they talk to understand, but I don't understand. And so sometimes I'll ask them to repeat themselves, or can you try to use better grammar? And people get offended. And it's not me trying to belittle a person. It's me trying to understand a person. And if they get mad, then I'm asking them to type out an actual sentence instead of just skipping words. And I don't know what to say. But in answer to the specific question, how many times in a day? I don't know. 5, 20 times a day. But, like I said, I believe it makes sense to them. But they just don't present it in a way that it can make sense to me. So I'm working on it. I can only be in control of myself. So I'm trying to learn this type of lingo, slang, shortened, weird-ass English that people apparently consider to be normal, and who get mad if you ask them to not type like that. See, this is apparently not a question. Keep doing what you do. You are an inspiration and a role model. This one's also from the UK. Wow. I appreciate you. I never would have thought, man. I just kind of did my own thing. I did hang out with people, and read and learned and watched and listened and just kind of put my own take on things. And the fact that you guys over the years have followed and tuned in and subscribed and watch and study and listen, etc. It means a lot to me, and I'm very deeply honored. So thank you for taking the time to send that. Shout out to the UK. Shout out to London. Ooh. You most likely do not hear this enough, but we appreciate you. You know what, guys? Whoever sent that, and to anyone who shares that perspective, I appreciate you too. For those of you that aren't established followers, I appreciate you is a powerful, direct statement. So it's a thing where I believe saying thank you. Someone does something for you, you say thank you, and it's It's polite, it's well-mannered, and it's what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to be thankful, and you tell them thank you. And for me, I want to personalize that. I want all of you guys to personalize that, because when you say thank you to someone, that's one thing, and it's important and crucial. But when you look at somebody who's done something for you, minor or major, but when you look at them and say, I appreciate you, it's them specifically, and you are letting them know that you appreciate them. And little things like that are major. If the world started looking at each other in the eyes and said, I appreciate you, if we started doing that, think about what that can change, what it will change. So that's I think that's a really great note to stop on right there. I appreciate you in return. Thank you very much for listening, for following, for subscribing, and supporting content. You guys, for those of you that have made it to the end of this, if this is your first episode, no, they're not all question and answers. Take the time to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes out that range all over the place about real life and important things that I think every one of us needs to consciously think about. So that's what the Think Bigger project is about, and the podcast is a branch of it. Go to thinkbiggerproject.com. The link is in my bio on Instagram. Please take the time to follow there for my personal life in the automotive world, podcast updates. That's where to keep in touch. I check DMs. I will answer you. I will respond to your comments and things of that nature. ThinkBiggerProject.com is essentially a nonprofit organization for the community and for the culture. 100% of the proceeds of the merchandise go back into the project, okay? It funds itself, so your real life support is crucial to its survival and growth. So the podcast, share it, Facebook links, Twitter, Instagram, the merchandise, buy it, support the project, wear it, share it, tag it, etc. And go check it out. If you've never seen it before, go check it out. There are designs, and it's all about the culture, the community, one love, one culture, passion, drive, focus, think bigger, etc. There's a reason behind everything, and it's all to better the community. And that's what it's all about. So I love and appreciate all of you very deeply. And we will be back on. Whether the audio is perfect or not, I can't let these technical factors prevent the content from coming out. I appreciate you guys once again for constantly telling me, put it out. Just get the content out. We don't care about the technical stuff. And it was enough to spur me into action. So I love and appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for listening. And new episodes coming out soon. ThinkBiggerProject.com, Think Bigger Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Think Bigger Project website. It's all there, okay? So wherever you listen, comment, share, and let's grow together, okay? All right, God bless you all.